Automating your sales process with style. Here we go. So, what is automation? Well, let's first start about what it isn't. Okay. Automation is not about replacing your work. You're going to have to put in the work to do this. The AI systems that have been developed, you can't give them a prompt and say, go build me an automated email workflow and then have that automatically send touch points to my prospects going down the funnel that are, user specific with personalized messages and, videos. It's not there yet, right? So until it's there, we are going to have to put in the work. Okay. Number two is that it is not impersonal. A lot of people say, well, I don't want to use automation because it lacks the human element. It lacks the human touch. And I beg to differ. I think that there is a way to add personalization back to automation. I think that the key here is something that we're going to explore, which is just bringing out the human intelligence. It's bringing out the human element to your process. People are okay with the fact that a message might be sent to 1,000 people, but if they're not okay if they feel like it was done in a very generic way. So we'll explore that a little bit more later. Okay. Automation is not what lazy people do. You are here because you are intelligent. Okay. So thank you for joining. And automation is of course not a waste of your time. Okay. What is automation? Well, automation is about adding scale. Okay. Now, again, one of the things that we're going to talk about is the difference between scale and growth, which I'm really excited to share with you. It is about leveraging technology, right? So when we leverage technology, we can start to get more touch points done in a way that's just much more efficient. Okay. And then the next, of course, is that it's efficient and it's effective, our favorite E's. Okay. Why use sales automation? Okay. Well, traditional selling is, there's a lot of manual calling. There's emailing, there's sending SMS to prospects. A lot of it comes down to writing copy. If anyone doesn't consider themselves a part-time writer in this room, I would be very surprised, because I think being in a position of business development, sales, marketing, basically any type of leadership or results focused role, a lot of what you do is writing, right? And it's just, that's why I think AI has been so well received by the business community, because AI can help us with writing. Now, it's not a replacement for writing. It's just a cure for writer's block. Cold calling, a lot of automation can replace cold calling. And in fact, sometimes it's better. I mean, on our phones now, we see scam likely, right? Focusing on touch points, not engagement, right? So, in the old sales movies, the Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross type films, you see the alpha sales leader that says, how many cold calls did you make? What's your number? Like, how many emails did you send? And there's this sort of badge of honor in terms of, how much can you bench? How many cold calls can you make in a given day? And what's interesting about this is that this now has the effect of turning people off. Like, at some point, we need to find the balance of providing value and, of course, inspiring people to affect change. Because if we over push them, then they're gonna block us. They're gonna delete us. They're gonna report spam. They're gonna put up a wall, and that's not what we want. So automation actually will help us to be more specific in the value that we provide, so that we don't have to be super aggressive. Okay. Automated selling, what is that about? Okay. Focusing on sales engagement. Engagement is a key word here. In fact, it's an entire industry. Sales engagement is so important. Okay. It's not about the touch points. It's about how they engage. Okay. Architecting a master sales communication system. This is what we're going to teach you guys how to do, right? You have the technology right in front of you. You can build an automated workflow. You can send those emails. You can send an SMS. You can update your contact records and streamline your entire sales and marketing system. We'll show you how to do that, okay? And then effectively what you do is you're fueling an entire customer journey with data, email, and SMS touch points, right? Customer journey is something that we love to talk about because we're sort of guiding the person to eventually hopefully work with us. And that journey is all about the experience. And a lot of what we can do is to make that experience a positive one, and automation can help us to do that. So growth versus scale. And here's a funny picture of me contemplating this. So growth means more inputs and more outputs. This means I'm going to hire more salespeople. I'm going to put more advertising dollars in my budget. I'm going to put more stuff. I'm going to spend money in order to get more leads, in order to get more clients, in order to get more income. Scale, on the other hand, is the same inputs with more outputs. So if I build an automated workflow, what I can do is I can actually increase my revenue without having to spend more money in advertising, without having to hire more sales reps. So can you see the value of this now? I think it's becoming very, very obvious here. Now, you might ask yourself, well, why don't most people do automation? Why don't most people use automation? Why don't I use automation? These are very normal, healthy, responsible questions. And first of all, I'll say this in a very empathetic way. It's not a problem that you haven't set this up until now, right? It's fine. The past is the past. We're here today. So let's look towards the future. The other thing is that it's not, historically, it has not been easy to set up an automated workflow. In fact, it's a very challenging process. That's what I used to do before Dubb. I used to build technology to allow people to build these automated workflows and these drip sequences and effectively sales and marketing automation, right? And as a technologist in this space, I sort of realized how difficult it was to write the copy, to organize it, to understand the technology, the integrations, to really follow the customer journey. And that is a massive catalyst in terms of, why we decided to start Dubb. So really excited to share this with you guys. The quote here is, in growth, I need to hire more reps and spend more on ads for sales. As opposed to scale is I need to attract and engage prospects with an intelligent system. All right. So here's a simple chart that can sort of explain this. With growing, I increase my revenue, but I also increase my cost. With scaling, I increase my revenue without increasing my costs. So I don't care if you're a solopreneur, if you're an SMB, if you're an Inc. 5000 company, or if you're a Fortune 500 company, this is relevant for everyone in this day and age. It all just comes down to the number of zeros that you have on your line items for this stuff, okay? Wanted to bring Darius in. Darius, I'll keep the screen share going.
Okay, perfect. So in this one, guys, I'm very fact driven. I'm very numbers driven. And so I always like to provide the numbers, because if you're like me, I need to know something's going to work. I need to know the stats before I try something, right? I don't just want to take a shot in the dark, do my research first. And so I wanted to provide some of these stats here for you based on automation. So again, don't take our word for it. This is the market. This is how automation performs. It's just a couple of really powerful stats there. First one is B2B companies. So again, if you're a business to business, B2C is going to be very similar to this, though. The stats are almost identical. So 58% of people who actually use automation, or 58% of people plan on using automation because they know that this is the future. They know that this is going to help them scale. And actually, people that effectively use automation have a 250% increase engagement from their efforts. So 250% more outputs, more growth versus the same amount of inputs. And then 80% of marketers using automation see increased leads and a 77% increased conversion rate. So that's 77% more business when using automation versus doing everything manually. So what would 77% more conversions mean for your business if that's all it took was to implement this process to have that type of increase? So 77% is very, very significant. And that's just sort of an average. I mean, if you're not automating anything right now and you're going to go to an automated process, you can probably expect an even higher increase than that. Biggest benefits, the saving time. We mentioned earlier, it's not lazy people. It's not people that don't have the time. Automation is actually designed to win back your time, to to perform better than you could as if you had all the time in the world. So saving time is the number one biggest benefit of automating your business, because time is a commodity that we all have a shortage of. And by implementing a system, we can win more of that time back. So less time manually performing follow-up activities and more time to ourselves, more time to qualify those leads through systems. Lead generation, lead qualification, also huge benefit. So instead of having this lead get one message and manually following up with them, you're able to automatically engage them and continue to message them with valuable content in order to activate them. So the idea here is, instead of sending 1, 2, 3 message manually, calling, adding a text, most of those processes can be added through the automation and therefore qualify your contacts. And of course, as a result, increasing the revenue, retaining more customers, and being able to have more intelligence across your sales cycles. So this is another big benefit, is when you're doing manual activities, they're much harder to measure. If you're sending manual emails all the time and manual text messages, how are you tracking each of those manual activities? And this is another big benefit of using automation, is each step is trackable. Every step in an automated workflow can be measured, and you can actually come and that's what we're going to talk about later, is how to incrementally improve the effectiveness of your workflow. Just like we have our sales calls, and if we're listening in on the sales calls, we'll find places to improve, right? If you're reviewing your sales process, we're always sharpening, always getting better. And this is that same process, as we have opportunity now to improve. And it's much harder to do when everything's manual. It's very difficult to locate these messages and sort of amalgamate or put them into one place to measure them. So that's another major benefit. I think it's too low on the list, but that's a huge one. Okay, next one. Marketing automation. Users who effectively use automation report 3 times as many leads from their marketing efforts to their sales channel. So a lot of organizations, right, they put marketing out there, they put content out, and then they're looking to pass that to their sales operations, right? Marketing is at the top of the funnel, and then it gets passed into the sales opportunities. And for many of us, it's sort of the same channels, marketing, right? Where the sales people and the marketers in one. But even within that, even within our own internal workflows, we have our marketing efforts, and then we have our actual sales efforts, like sales calls and meetings. So that's what we're talking about here, is 3 times as many leads becoming opportunities versus, you're generating all these leads. What's happening with those leads? Are they being followed up with to the best of your ability, maybe manually right now? And is that going to be as good as something you could do through automation? The chances are no, unless you're dealing with like 1 lead a day and you can chase that person down everything you need to, then it's possible. But obviously we're going to be dealing with more than 1 lead a day. And this is where systems enable you to qualify, engage, and move them down the pipeline to the sales aspect, the sales component of your business. All right. And so what makes up an automation? That's what we're getting into now. What is actually an automation consisting of? So there's several different types of automation, the most common being an email workflow. That's why it's at the top here. So an email automation is when something happens, like we get a new lead, they submit a form, we got a list, something happens where we obtain a lead. And now, traditionally, we're going to go do all those manual activities with that lead, to email them, to call them, to text them, to put them into a campaign. And this is where automation can be used in conjunction with that. So we're not saying don't do your manual activity, right? Try to call them, send a message to them. But at some point, your ability to chase these people and to continue to send manual messages is going to hit a limit. And that's where the automation comes in. Email being the most popular channel of communication for business right now. So that's why it's the first one. And email workflows, again, instead of manually sending an email, that's what we're going to be talking about, is how to automatically send email messages based on activity, based on rules that we build. So that's the first piece, is going to be emails. Text messages go hand in hand with that. Now, SMS isn't for every industry. It's not for every business type, like B2C to consumer. It's very popular. Some business to business, it's also very popular. Other business to business, maybe it's not a perfect fit. Like they don't often have cell phones. So, but email and SMS are the most common automations. The other types of automations are for qualification. Like if you send an email to somebody, again, we talked about this earlier, is not just touching them, but engaging people, having them engage with your content and raise their own hand. That's the idea with using automation, is we're going to send emails, text messages, and other activities to our prospects. they're going to engage with that, watch the video, open the email, click the link, etc. And then we can also base automation off of that. Say, for example, you send an email to someone automatically, they watch the video there. That can then update the internal record inside of Dubb, and it'll say, hey, somebody watched this video, or somebody took this action. And now because of that, we can automate other processes like sending a different email, internally notifying our sales staff and saying, hey, this person clicked a button, give them a call now. And then funnel stage updates. So we can actually have activities in automation. So they opened an email, they clicked a link, they watched a video. We can have that activate a completely different workflow. So automations connecting to other automations. That's sort of the final frontier of this whole thing. But those are the type of activities that automation actually includes: sending emails, text messages, updating records, and other activities like further automations.
We can't have a presentation without an acronym, right? So we so we developed the IMU method, okay? And this really comes there's another one that we all probably know about, which is the AIDA, the AIDA. That's sort of a famous kind of older one, but this is sort of our reboot, our update to that, which is number one is to determine your ideal client profile. I would love to get a 1 in the comments if you feel at least 80 to 90% confident with who you cater to, who your ideal client profile is. So if you have that high level of confidence, I'd love to see a 1 in the chat. It's okay if you don't. It took us a long time to figure it out. And in fact, we still are. This is one of the most challenging things to do because number one is you have to figure out obviously who is the ideal buyer for what I offer, but then there's the psychology of it. When are they going to be the right buyer? If they're ready to buy in 2 years, chances are they're not the right buyer, right? So there's these ideal sort of psychographic elements that we need to really focus on to figure out who is actually going to buy from us, when we are selling to them, okay? The second is to figure out their aspiration. Like, what is their goal? A lot of us talk about the pain points and the struggles. We hear that a lot, and that's okay. But really what people want is they want to attain something. They want to aspire to something. They want to achieve something. So we decided to go with aspiration. What is it that they would like to accomplish? Okay. Then the third one, which is to create your value machine. And this is what Darius is going to show to us in just a moment here, which is building out an automated workflow. Now, when we say an automated workflow, it doesn't just mean a bunch of sales touch points that are going to go out to touch the person to try to get them to eventually sign a contract or put a credit card in. That's not what this is. This is about providing value, right? And value comes down to education, entertainment, and effectively figuring out a way that the person can be elevated, right? So that machine is something that we're going to teach you how to build. And it's not going to take place overnight. It does require a lot of investment. This is kind of like having a Zen garden. You have to water your plants, you have to prune and trim and go through the process. Okay. And then the fourth, of course, is to learn and update. Iteration is a massive part of this. There's no such thing as set it and forget it in automation. You're always collecting data, figuring out what's working, figuring out what's not working, making tweaks, adding stuff, removing stuff, to effectively optimize it and increase your conversions, okay?
So this is the actual processes of what it looks like. What we need to do is first start by coming up with what Ruben mentioned on the last thing, our ideal customer profile. And once we understand who that person is, we can more effectively craft our messages to them. And so step one is going to be understanding what this workflow is going to be. What are we trying to replace? Is it going to be manual communications like emails? Is it text messages? Is it updating contact records? Most of the time, automation is going to consist of multiple of these types of steps, like sending emails, more than one email, or sending text messages if this makes sense for your business. And again, internally notifying people based on their activities. So if it's just you yourself, it becomes very valuable to be notified when somebody does something. So this is the hand raise, right? Instead of wondering who's looking at my stuff? Who's clicking on my stuff? You can set up notifications to tell you in your email, hey, Ruben just clicked your button. Ruben watched your video. So this is just basically the outline of the first processes. We need to understand what we're trying to accomplish, sending emails, text messages, updating records, and then actually go through the process of building these things one step at a time, which again, we're going to show here very shortly. I believe actually the next slide. So this is what the overall looks like. And I'm going to now jump into the screen and I'm actually going to show you guys how these things come together. This is a fully built workflow after it's already been created. But now I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you guys what this looks like from the.
And I was also going to offer, this is actually a version of our drip sequence. If anyone wants us to take a screen grab of this, you're welcome to. This is actually one of our real drip email sequences. So this, if you've been sold by us, this is probably one of the tools that helped us sell you. So you're feel free to take a screen grab of that.
Awesome. So what we actually have here, this was one of the ones we built in our training last week, which was for the Facebook lead. So let's say, for example, you generate a lead on Facebook, and now we want to activate this workflow for them. This is what the beginning of a workflow looks like. Every automation has what's called a trigger, which is how this workflow begins. What is the process to start this workflow? And in this case, it's Facebook advertisement lead was generated. So this was done in a previous training. We can talk about that further. But again, the trigger is the first step to an automation. So whether they filled out a form, you purchased a list, you have these contacts already in your database, there's going to be this first step, which is enrolling your contacts into this workflow. Ideally, we want this to also be automated, just like this one is here. So as soon as someone fills out our Facebook lead form, they're going to get added to this automation. If you have your own forms, right, you can create a form on Dubb and put it on a website, a landing page, anywhere. And when someone fills that form, they can be added into the sequence automatically. So building the right trigger for your workflow is the first step. For many of us, it's going to just be adding a tag. So like you have a list of contacts right now. Maybe it's some leads that were no longer responsive and you're like, I don't have the bandwidth to chase these people down anymore. I don't have a sales staff to go call and text and email these people until they've said yes or no. This is going to be that same process. So in that case where you have the list, the trigger is just importing the contacts. So you just take your contact, import it to Dubb, and that will trigger the sequence, which we're going to show next. So trigger is the very first thing. What do you want to activate this workflow? And as I mentioned, more often you guys will have contacts existing, and just adding them into Dubb will be the trigger to enroll them. Now, the actual workflow itself. This one here is a very simple one, which just sends a notification internally that says, hey, you got a new lead on Facebook. And what we want to do with that would be up to us. So this is the first thing. It's going to send an internal notification, hey, you got a lead. But what do we also want to do? We want to send an email to that person, right? As a first step. If you want to manually do this first step, I have a lot of people that will manually do it. However, when it comes to online advertising and lead generation and stuff, that time to respond is critical. So imagine if you have a Facebook ad or a form on your website or landing page, somebody fills this out at 10 o'clock at night. You're not going to be there to give them a call or a text within that 5 minutes of them filling this out, but an automation will. You can email them automatically or text message them automatically as soon as they've done whatever they did to get here. So this is always going to be what a workflow consists of, is either messaging the contact or updating your contact records for you to take action. So in this example, we're going to send an email. We'll send cold email 1. So now when a Facebook lead gets filled or a website form or you imported a contact, it's going to send email 1. And then we're going to have a secondary action here. In this case, it's just going to be a delay because we want to make sure that there's some delay between one activity and the next. In this case, maybe we want to wait 1 day. This delay, these processes, this will be, again, dependent upon the research we did in earlier steps. If you know that your sales cycle is very short, like from the time you get a lead to the time they make a sale, like our example that Ruben just shared, we have a 7-day free trial. That means we really have 7 days to try to capture this person's conversion. If you guys are in something like real estate, there's going to be a very short window where they're interested, but then there's going to be a much longer window. So again, understanding your ideal customer and where they're at is going to help you determine what should be the sequence of this workflow. How often should we be messaging them? Now, you don't want to just message someone every single day forever because they're going to unsubscribe, right? They're going, this is too many messages. So we want a balance of what is enough and what is too much, right? You don't want to message someone every single day for weeks because then, like I said, they'll get annoyed or unsubscribe. Now, this delay could be 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. Again, if you have a short sales cycle, it should be shorter. But adding delays in there, that's what you would do naturally, right? You wouldn't call someone and then call them and call them and call them. You would wait some length of time. So that's what we're adding the delay for. And then after that would be the secondary action, which could be sending a second email, a text message, or doing these in conjunction. So one is going to send emails, one is going to send text messages if SMS is applicable to your business. So this is the actual process of creating this automatic workflow. And the strategy here, what we're trying to do is replace what we would do if we had all the time. What would be that first email you would send to a lead? If you understand your customer, you're going to craft something that's interesting for them, something that would solve the problem that they're looking to deal with. And in the second message, we'd be doing the same thing. It's nurturing them. Like right now, if you get a lead and you say, hey, John, I got your information. Let's talk. Here's my number. No response. Okay, you follow up and say, hey, John, I wanted to make sure you got my email. Here's my link. Let's chat. How many times are you going to do that same bump, right? Instead of manually sending that message, that's exactly what we're automating. Those sort of tedious things that we should be doing in our business. Every single one of us should be hitting our leads multiple times because we know it takes multiple touch points to convert somebody. So email 1, delay, text message 1, delay. And then this is a little bit more advanced, the phase 2, which is updating the contact record. So let's say if somebody watches a video, or maybe they clicked a button, a call to action, maybe they booked the time. If they booked the time, then we say, great, they did what they're supposed to. Let me take them out of this workflow. So I'm going to remove the tag that added them. But let's say they did not do what they were supposed to. They did not book the time. So now I'm going to wait and see. I'll wait a day. I'll give them 1 day to see if they book a time. And if they don't book that time after 1 day, then we're going to send another follow-up message. Send email, and this will be number 3. Let's go number 3 there. So now we have a 3 email sequence. It's going to send email 1, wait a day, send email 2, and then it's going to check, did they take action? If they did not take action, then it's going to follow up with them. And we would say here, hey, we saw you didn't book a time. We saw you didn't check out our content. We saw you did not do something. Here's another opportunity to engage, to take action. So again, this is based off of behavior, a little bit more advanced. I usually don't recommend for people just starting to start with behavioral based. We want to start with something simpler at first, which is just the emails and delays. And then we can use our human intelligence as the if then to start. Now, we here at Dubb are advanced with automations, right? Ruben mentioned his background. We've done this for a long time. And so we'll have if thens in ours. And it's not like we encourage you to not use this step, but we say, don't take it, oh, I need all these if then branches in my stuff because they showed it. So just be aware, this is that qualification step where now, instead of just sending to people aimlessly, we're going to be sending content to them intelligently based off of what they're doing. If they're engaging with stuff, great. Let's follow up with them manually, right? Let's call them or text them or do something because they raised a hand already. If they did not raise the hand, that's when the automation is designed to take place. It's designed to follow up with them until they raise a hand or until they say, I'm out, right? I'm no longer interested, because that's what we're effectively should be doing manually anyways. So this is the creation of a workflow, guys. It doesn't have to be complex. In fact, I recommend doing something simple like sending an email delay. This is what everyone should start with, is a simple workflow to replace the processes you should be doing manually right now. Just really quick, temperature of the room. Who is doing all the manual follow-up that they should be doing right now? If you are, put a 1. And if you're not, if there's more follow-up you could be doing, put a 0. Because I know personally, we're not doing all the manual follow-up we should be. And that's why we've implemented these automated processes. So again, if you're doing all the manual follow-up you think you could, that's a 1. And if you think you could use some automation, then 0 is the answer. Okay, so this is the actual process, guys, of building this workflow. Again, doesn't have to be complex. Simple is the actual recommendation. Questions on what we showed so far? I know that one is where typically people get a little bit lost and say, okay, well, how do we go, or what do I do? So if there's any questions about that part that I just showed, actually building out your workflow, we'd love to see those questions, and we'd love to support you guys answering those. If you're wondering, what should my steps be? What should I say? We got some stuff here for you coming up to help resolve some of that.
And one of the things that I wanted to do is 2 quick shout outs here. I wanted to give a shout out to Mika from our team. So Mika actually helped us with these slides. We've got a couple more. So Mika, your work is really appreciated. The slides look really nice. Thank you so much. Also to Ina. Ina, thank you so much for organizing this and helping us get some folks in the room here. It's really exciting. And then Russ Johns is in the house. Russ Johns is a pro Dubb coach. Russ, if you could put your link in, a lot of folks out there that you guys might feel a little overwhelmed in terms of creating an automated workflow. That's okay. This is not for everyone. You can invest into the technology and then not have to build it yourself. You can work with a professional, someone like Russ, to help you actually build your automated workflow. So Russ has been fully certified on everything. I've met with him so many times, countless times, and you're in good hands. So reach out to him. He can share his link as well. One of the other things that I think would be really nice, Darius, is to show the AI writing tool, Ira, in terms of how we can use that for email subjects, email copy, basic strategy or brainstorm work.
Yeah, no, we got the slide for that coming up. I think,
cool.
Rob, we're going to have you come on stage, friend, for a stage on the research component.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So the biggest thing here that, AI has been in our world for at least 6 months now, way longer than that. But I mean, really, really front of brain for everybody, no matter what it is, whether it's writing, whether it's artwork, whether it's creating. They even have editing software now with AI. But the biggest thing behind all of it is the human part, and that's just not going to go away. So all the cool automation that Darius and Ruben just talked about and showed, which is incredible, behind that are human beings, and they're going to be yourself in terms of really understanding what people are looking for. So research is one of the biggest things that you can do. And now there's more information than ever as far as finding out about companies, what their goals are, what's their mountaintop goal, what's the personal goal, the people within the company, whether they're director of sales, whether they're marketing directors, content people, whatever it is. There's so much available to us, which gives us a way to reach out very creatively and very individualistically as well. So to get the results, that we've seen on our side, with Dubb when we do outreach, is to, number one, stay very, very consistent, but always be testing things, always be seeing what's working, looking at the data. That's something Ruben and Darius are very big on. Good old A/B test. Does this work? Does that work? And really lean into the things that you find are getting you traction. So research is one of the biggest keys. But when you have the research and you have the data, that's when you need to say, okay, who am I? What is the cool thing that I do when I do the outreach? Because when we do videos at Dubb, we have to bring our personality. and our special traits in terms of how we interpret things. If you're in real estate and you're talking about a market update, well, what's your expertise and what's your take on that market update? People can read the information in the data, which is great in terms of leading with value with that info, but they also want to know what's your interpretation of it and what's your advice based on that. Because a lot of the times, whether it's in consulting, healthcare, insurance, coaching, whatever it is, the strongest part that you can bring is who you are. And the automation is just the tech making it easier for you. And that's the biggest thing about that. So, Ruben, if you want to hit the next slide, I'll go.
That's it too, guys. Just one other piece is we are looking to automate you. We're looking to take your ability and multiply it over the times when you're not available. That's the whole concept of using automation, is to take your skill set, your ability to communicate, and leverage that with technology. So the human element here is critical, because we're taking you and we're multiplying it. We're automating your efforts so that you can get more work done in your sleep and on the weekends and when we're not active.
Yeah, and these other versions of you are you, so you don't need to reteach them on anything. They already have the knowledge that's in your brain, so it's not like you have to re-educate other yous. They're already there. The biggest thing you always want to start with, and this is just sales 101, is listening. Whether it's a conversation that you're having with someone, whether it's a back and forth conversation on Zoom, over the phone, whether it's a conjuncted, paused conversation like asynchronous video sending that we do here at Dubb. Because when you send a video out, the first thing, that's the first volley, just the start of the conversation. But a lot of it, like I was just saying, is based on the research in terms of how you reach out. So your listening is really defined in terms of checking out people's profiles. What are their comments on certain videos? What posts are they making? What lives have they shot? So all of this is part of the listening, in quotes, process for that. The other thing is Ira. That's our AI assistant we have here. I'm sure a number of you have already used it already. If you haven't, definitely check it out. And we're going to cover that in a second in terms of how to use it. But the overall basis of when you're using AI for writing and when you're coming up with your content is to come up with these really idea starters. A lot of the times we struggle with, oh man, well, okay, I know what I want to do. I want to reach out to this person, but what's the best way I should do this? What are some ideas? So when you throw these ideas into Ira, they give you these explanations back that are pretty amazing, and they're good starting points. One of the coolest things that Ruben and Darius added to our tool, which you'll see in a second, is about the mood. Is it humorous? Is it friendly? Is it educational? Is it informative? So when you put in these moods, so to speak, in terms of how you want to send these things out, it really can craft an original kind of idea that, again, and the last part of this is the most important, is the human pass. You have to give it the human pass, because even if it comes up with something really witty, like we put a real estate one in, and I think the first line of it was, how to increase your home value in Seattle, Washington. And the first line was like, does your house look like that 70s show? Or it had some line like that, which is kind of, it's kind of wonky funny, but it wasn't really that funny. But it was, if you hadn't anything in your brain, it might have given you some ideas for something else. So I would say the human pass on anything you do AI is literally the most important thing, because you have to put your stamp on it. Other than that, you're just copying, pasting, and doing something that isn't really you at the end of the day. So just look at it as a very, very cool and convenient starting point.
Great. Thank you, Rob. Now, I'll just take a moment here and show you guys the tool in action. It's part of the dashboard. It's built right into Dubb. So you can either access it right through the dashboard or through the little brain here. And this is all that it takes, guys, is it's like speaking to a very intelligent human, and you can ask it to do anything that you want. So let's say if you want a specific industry, choose the industry. If not, you can leave it. And you can even just leave it sort of open-ended and ask it to do whatever you want. Like, write me a follow-up email for someone who did not show up to their appointment, right? That's the one that we don't want to do ourselves, right? I'm tired of following up people that were no-shows to an appointment or something. That's very frustrating. And so you can, Rob just mentioned the humor part of it. I think humor would be something interesting to add here, because and then what's going to be the target word length? This is going to be a short one. It's an email, so maybe 50 words. And when you hit submit here, again, this is the part that if you're having writer's block, you're trying to come up with something creative, use the AI for its creativity, and it's going to give you a good starting point. And did you get lost on our way to see that? That's somewhat humorous, pretty funny. Did you get lost? Like virtually, how do you get lost, right? And I would notice that you know where to be found. Did you actually stumble to an open house? Because I put real estate, right? So it added that real estate tonality and the joke in there. Did you get lost in a bathroom? What happened? So this is what I mean by when you are having a creative block, or if you feel maybe I couldn't do as good a job of this AI, give it a shot, guys. It's like I said, a super smart human that's going to do whatever you ask it to do. So this is a really good example of a nice follow-up email that's literally exactly what we asked for. It's real estate related. It's got humor. And this is a much better follow-up email than I would have written. I would have said, hey, how's it going? Any update? Right? Something like that. So this is what the tool is for, guys. Sky is the limit. It's like your very best friend that's, you know, smart as heck and wants to help you. So that's the tool, guys. And if anyone, we did my video was off. We did specific trainings on the AI as well. So if anyone wants that lesson for that, just let us know, toss something into the chat. We'll get it to you after that. We do have a specific training for it. So if you haven't used it yet, let us know. We'll be happy to give you that.
I would just love to get a quick survey here. How many folks know about Ira within Dubb? If you know about Ira, put the number 1 in the chat, please. We just would like some feedback in terms of how good of a job we're doing to promote our technology. So hopefully we'll see a bunch of ones in there. It's okay if you don't know about it.
Got a couple ones and got a couple people that like the training as well. So
okay, great.
Got a good mix.
And if this is the first time that you're hearing about Ira, please put a 0 in the comments. And we'd love to reach out. Great. No worries. Hey, you heard about it, and here it is. It's in your dashboard. Like Darius mentioned, you can click on right from the dashboard. You'll see it in the top section. And then also you can click on the little brain AI looking icon in the top navigation. So those are the 2 ways that you can get it. And you also have a dedicated page on your dashboard. So if you want to bookmark that in your browser, feel free to do so. The other thing that's also noteworthy here is you can add the script to you can add the text to your scripts. So you can actually add that to the teleprompter. So Darius can show that. So there's 2 buttons down here. Number 1 is add to scripts. Add to scripts will add this to the teleprompter so that you can use this on the Dubb mobile app, on the Dubb desktop app, on the Dubb website Chrome extension. You can use the teleprompter. So think about that first. Let's just take a pause to think about how valuable that is. We can use artificial intelligence to help us to write a humorous and informative email copy, sales script, whatever it may be. And then we can import that into the teleprompter, record that video, and then send it to someone. It's extremely efficient. Like if it takes you multiple takes to record a video, and if it takes you a long time to write the copy for the video, both of those problems have been solved now. But as Rob mentioned, make it your own. Add the HI, which is the human intelligence. And then the other button on the bottom, which is also artificial intelligence, is to convert it into video. So please put a 1 in the comments if you know about our text to video technology. This is a proprietary technology that we built with Google, and this will allow you to take text and then convert it into a waveform video, and then you can share that video. You can also download the video and use it for an editing project or use it for social media. Darius, maybe you can click that button and show us how that works.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you guys see? I resubmitted it. It gave me another funny email. Look, the MIA client. Hope this went well, unlike your appointment with me. So, I mean, somebody might take that as like, oh, this is kind of snarky. I don't like that. Or they might see like, oh, this guy's funny.
Did you click sarcastic? No, you didn't.
No,
right?
no, I just clicked humor. No. Did you cat eat your calendar? That's good. Anyway, convert to video, 1 click. And now this is going to be ready. Here, we'll hit the preview. Again, you guys can select different voices. One thing interesting I noticed is women tend to think that the men's voice sounds more realistic and better. And then men tend to think that the women's voice sounds more realistic or better. So I have noticed that with different people.
That's so interesting.
Cool too. Yeah, it's very interesting. So
Wow.
Here we'll go. We'll turn down his pitch, slow down the speed. And here's Isaac reading our email. Oops, I pressed upload. I meant to click preview.
I think you have your computer sound shut off, so we actually
Yeah, I
can't
know. I was
hear.
going to say I also accidentally clicked the upload, so it's going to fully upload it versus the preview button. So we'll just give it a second there. And
Okay,
now
cool.
again, this guys is for a variation in what you're normally doing. So if you are on video enough, this is like a combination of that. So one is you, one is the AI talking about a screen recording, or this is just designed to make a difference in your thing. I have other people that are have other languages, right? They speak in another language and they would like a video transcribed in English. So multiple use cases for the AI piece to generate the content for you. A couple questions that we had on the AI, David. We are using the Open API key, so it's going to be using our Open AI source, so you don't have to have your own. It's sort of a nice way to cut the line. So yeah, our function. And then here's
Yeah,
the
both of these tools are available in all of our paid plans. So Pro,
Got it.
Pro Plus. Yeah.
And then
Dear client, I hope this email finds you in good health and
can you hear that? That was a little too slow. So yeah. Anyway, you guys can adjust the speed and things like there so that you can find a speed and a cadence and things that work well for you.
Maybe try the pitch at 1.
Yeah. And then we'll change a different name and then also take out this part because it doesn't sound good when you're reading it. So let's see.
Dear client, I hope this email finds you in good health and spirits, unlike your appointment with me. Did you get stuck in traffic or did the cat eat your calendar? Let me know when you're free to reschedule. I'll be sure to bring my trusty GPS this time. Best, your name.
So it's yeah, it's funny, right? They didn't show up to appointments, so they get a robot video. Anyway, that's the piece there. And here we got a couple more. Can you send your link? Yeah, we'll send the links to the AI training. Good question there. Just sent 1,000 emails that the AI created for me, Tony. Love it. App, yes, the IRA is available, not on the app yet, but it coming, right, Ruben? We don't
Coming
have
very soon. Yeah.
very soon.
Make sure you have automatic updates on the app. Please also subscribe to our YouTube channels, Dubb App and Dubb Support, our YouTube channels and our social channels, because we do all of our announcements on social. So, we're going to share our Instagram link, our TikTok link, our Facebook link, and then our YouTube links. And connect with us because we'd love to let you know when we're bringing all this technology front and center for you guys.
And then Bill, yeah, it is being recorded. We'll share the recording with everyone.
Yeah.
It'll also be uploaded to the socials Ruben just mentioned there. This is just a continuation on what Rob mentioned. And because we just showed the AI again, we need you guys to be aware of this human component. So you can just take a thing and copy it and insert it directly into the scripts. We always recommend adding this human revision step though, especially because guys, just so you know, the AI right now is only trained up until 2021, September of 2021. So if you're asking it to generate things like statistics from today, those will not be accurate. So do we need to add the human revision component? You can look up old stats, like here's how things have performed in the past, but you cannot look up current market stats from today, because again, the AI is only trained up until 2021. So that's just an example of making sure that we're adding that human revision. So if it's giving us any stats, we need to double check those. If it's giving us facts, we need to double check those. And again, depending on what you're generating, like if it's a blog or something like that, you'll want to make sure that you're adding your own text to that. So it's not just like a copy and paste from somebody else. So again, AI is very powerful, but we need to add this human step. I don't think this is ever going to go away, because the way that the AI works is it's gathering all the data that's already out there, things that people have already produced. And so we always need to come add our component to that. Otherwise, it's going to be the same that somebody else asked it. It's going to duplicate essentially what somebody else's input was. So we need to add the you to it, regardless of whatever we're using to write it. So just be aware of that step and the limitation to 2021 for stats. Okay, so these are the types of videos we would create. We showed how to write the script. Either that's for the video itself, or maybe the subject or the body of the video, of the email with the video. But the steps for creating these video emails, right? That's going to be one of the first steps, guys, is understanding which videos are going to go throughout your sequence. Like, for example, we have a whole bunch of stuff to educate people on. We do not put all of those things in email one, right? That would be too much. So what we do is we break down the information that we need to share with somebody over the series of emails, like that 7 email drip sequence. Again, we have a 7-day trial. So our sequence is 7 days because it's a really, pertinent time to make sure that we contact them during that time frame. And these are the steps that we did. We determined which videos are going to be recorded first. Do we need text messaging? For us, yes, we added text messaging as well. And now these aren't the same videos. We're sending different videos across different channels. Your video pages, guys, these are where your videos are actually displayed. And now we have a whole other training. This is basically what Dubb is all about, which is your video landing pages. What are the elements that are going to be in and around your video? I'll share my screen here just for a second and make sure we're all on the same page. So what we're talking about, guys, here is making sure that your video pages are also optimized. So in each step, it's going to have buttons and videos and things beneath that. Those need to be optimized for the thing that we're doing as well. So if you're trying to set appointments, obviously everyone's got a calendar beneath it. If you're trying to get phone calls or text messages, obviously phone call and SMS buttons. Downloading attachments, registering for webinars, making sure that your guys' pages have the things here that are going to drive those results. And a thing that people often forget or don't add here is social proof. Read our reviews. Look at my testimonials. So that's not on this page particularly, but for most of our use cases, when we're nurturing people, that's what most of these workflows are going to be, right? Is nurturing our leads. We want to provide things like education and social proof. The actual content that you send out is extremely important because what you want to do is be informative, be helpful, be educational. So when someone opens this email, they see, oh, wow, this was useful for me. This information was interesting to me, because people don't unsubscribe from that. Maybe they're not ready right now, but they saw, wow, Bill's dropping some great information. I like what he said here. I'm not going to unsubscribe from this email. So the content that we're actually sharing is very important. Again, that's why we did the research in step 1, and that's why we understood our customer, and we're producing content that's valuable for them throughout these steps. So, and this is when I talked earlier about the balance. How often are we sending these messages? If it's, again, for real estate, it's frequently, if they just signed up, like they just hit your form, you want to hit them often. But then after a week, what do we, you don't want to hit them every single day after that, because then they're like, okay, this is too many emails. Often real estate drips will be like once a week or once every 2 weeks or once a month, even, to stay top of mind. So again, understand your industry, understanding your buyer, what their behaviors are, what their sales cycle is, and what information is going to be most valuable for them, and having that available on your pages. So extremely important for that step. And right. And if anyone wants help with that, that's exactly what our plans are about. That's why we host these trainings so often, daily trainings. That's why we have our coaches, we have our Pro Plus, everything you guys need here to make sure you're supported. So a couple minutes left. Last slide. We want to talk about next steps. The first thing here, guys, is if you want to implement an automation into your account, we would like you guys to upgrade to Pro Plus. Pro Plus is going to contain a few things. 1, it's going to include the automation. 2, it's going to include an opportunity to connect with me personally, where I'm going to help you architect this entire thing. 3, it's going to include a template, a basic cold email. We're calling it the cold to sold workflow. And it's a universal cold email template sequence where it's going to have placeholders and prompts where we can now come in and just put our own piece in there. So it's going to be a complete outline. Actually, I can give you guys a little preview of this. I shared actually a part of it during the presentation. So we do have an entire sequence that is ready to go for you guys right now. And it's our cold to sold sequence. And this is going to consist of emails, subjects, and bodies that get you guys started in a way. So you can see it says, boost their ego. Well, the reason I'm reaching out is insert the problem. So this is an entire cold email sequence that is ready to go We just add your human intelligence to it. So come in and add company name, your industry problems. And so this is what we're including with anyone that looks to implement automation. We wanted to take this step off of your guys' plate, which is, where do I start? Right. So now you have a really great base to start with. And then you have the opportunity to connect with me to help refine these processes, to help make sure this automation is going to do what you need it to. Most of our audience is doing some sort of cold email sequence, right? We take a lead and we want to convert them to an appointment. So that's why this is the default template that we have, this cold to sold template. And this is what we want to present to you guys today, is the opportunity to upgrade to Pro Plus for a special price. You know, instead of the $129, we're going to roll it back to our previous pricing, which is just $99 a month. And we're also including the template, the cold to sold template sequence, to give you guys a nice starting point. And then we're going to include access to myself here to help you guys set this thing up for your first workflow. So this is the most that we can possibly do for you guys. We give you all the basic templates and give you the training and technology and the one-to-one support to really implement these things in your business today. So anyone that's already on Pro Plus, that you're already here, let us know. We can import the sequence there. Of course, yeah, if you guys are already on Pro Plus, this is available to you. Automations are ready to go. And anyone that did not upgrade to Pro Plus, this is that opportunity. Again, we have the rolled back pricing to our 2022, and including that complimentary setup where, again, I can meet you with myself and help make sure this whole thing is best practices and done correctly, and all those things are ready to go.
If you're interested in getting that Pro Plus access, just put cold to sold in the chat, and we'll kind of reach out with a special promo code.
Excellent.
The other thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be hosting a Pro Plus VIP training actually in the very near future. So one of the things that you'll get access to with a Pro Plus account is access to that meeting. And that's just going to be a very, very rigorous training where we're going to show you the specific templates that you will already have in your account installed, and how you can configure this and customize this to maximize conversion. So that's going to be exciting.
Got it. Yeah, I guess that prompt was a little complex, too many words. We got your guys' input here, though. We will be connecting with each and every one of you guys individually to make sure you guys have the support that you need here. So, Alvaro, your hands up, my friend.
Yes, there is. Hi, thank you so much for all the info. It's always very complete. Just on one of your previous webinars, you said, and I know not to make this too complicated, but you said that you don't recommend doing a email, kind of mix email and SMS within the same
Correct. Yeah.
funnel.
Correct. So here's what he's talking about really quick, guys. I'll share my screen. We do not recommend building the email and text message into the same workflow. And here's why. If I enroll a contact into a workflow that sends an email and sends a text message, but the contact doesn't have a phone number, the automation would fail at the step where it goes to send a text message because they didn't have a number. So if it failed on that text message step, it wouldn't continue to send those other emails and text messages. So what we always recommend if you're doing email and text is it's going to be two separate workflows, one for email and one for text messaging. And in that way, if they don't have a number, no problem, nothing happens. As long as they have an email, they'll still get the sequence and nothing will stop working. So yes, if you're doing email and SMS, you can see here, I'll show you guys, we have those separated in our own accounts. So there is the email drip right there. Small business, big business. Remember, target your audience, right? Here's big business, here's small businesses, and then here's the SMS workflow as well. So yes, break these guys up depending on your audiences, depending on the opportunities. And if it's SMS and email, those would be preferred to be separate. It's like if you have every single contact, they all have phone numbers, they all have that, and you're 100% sure of it, then you could potentially do both in one. I would say it's always safer to do them separately, though.
We'll continue on that same train of thought. If you're not sure that the phone number you have is a landline, obviously they wouldn't get SMS. So does
Yep.
that also break up the sequence?
No.
or-
So if it's here's the thing with landlines is if you have a text message workflow and they have a landline, it will still send the message and it just won't go through. So all the text message providers like Twilio and Dialpad and Ring Central, they don't care if you're sending to a landline. They kind of expect that, okay, you'll send these text messages. We're assuming they're cell phones, and then it'll just sort of fail and say, hey, this was a landline. So that there's unfortunately no way to separate or distinguish landline from mobile at this point. There might be some technology out there that can do that, but not something that I'm aware of currently.
Is there a way then within Dubb CRM that you can kind of weed out the contacts that you have with a phone number and the ones that you only have an email with?
Yeah, I would say the best way to do that would be to import your contacts, like re-import and update with a tag. And then that way, anyone that has a number, you can instantly update all those guys with a tag that says mobile. Here, I'll show you guys again. That's the way we've actually, I can't, there's some email data there. But yeah, in our accounts, that's how we've tagged people. If they have a mobile number, it tags them with mobile number. And if they just have an email, then it's one or the other. So yeah, that's how we would recommend breaking up the list, those with just re-importing. So if you have a list and you have people with numbers, just re-import the list and it'll update the contacts and add the number.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, David, any thoughts about adding WhatsApp to the automations? So I believe WhatsApp, you can just use a text message, a cell phone number, and it will send them a text message to that WhatsApp number. So it doesn't have to be specifically a WhatsApp type of integration. I think if you just have their cell phone, it'll send a text message to them. But we are looking at adding more types of integrations, but WhatsApp specifically isn't currently in the list of a type of integration. It would just be through SMS.
How do you deal with national do not contact phone numbers?
That's a great question as well. And it's the same thing as email right now, guys, where we're assuming that the contact list that you're providing, there's a little checkbox. There's a thing that says, I'm agreeing that this is not spam, that these are my contacts, because you're not supposed to send cold text messages to people. That's not legal right now. Technically, you're not supposed to send cold text messages to people in the United States. I know a lot of people that do it and are trying to push the boundaries and get away with it or whatever. But you are supposed to have an opt-in prior to sending text messages to somebody. So as far as the do not call, do not whatever, they would not have been opted in. Now, if you have a list of phone numbers and they're on a do not call, it's difficult to determine because anyone can join that list at any time, right? Like I can call today and say, hey, put my list on the do not call.
Watch the boys.
And because you had this number from yesterday, but now I'm on the list. So unfortunately, there's no way to stay in sync with who's on that do not call or contact list. So sorry, I wish I had a better, more automatic answer for you, but unfortunately, there's manual review that needs to be done for SMS.
Thank you.
You got it, buddy. And another one there, is it possible to have landing pages mapped to our domain? Yes. So that is with the custom domain, so that you can have all of your video pages say video.yourbusiness.com or whatever. So any variation on that. And so, yeah, that's the custom domain plan. If you would like that one, email us or email me directly and I can hook you up. It's Darius@dubb.com. Good questions. Janine, cold to sold, excellent. So glad we got a couple of you guys in here. I can't wait to work with you personally to build this automation and make our lives a little bit easier. I can't tell you how much it took off of our plates when we were finally able to implement this for ourselves, because before it was a lot of chasing, right? A lot of manual email sending and calling and pounding the phones and stuff until you get no's. And that way we don't have to deal with those no's so much ourselves anymore. We can wait till we get the yeses and only talk to the people who are giving us yeses. So really, go ahead.
We got a question here. Munib, yeah, please.
Yes, yeah, thanks, Ruben. So one of my questions was about the landing pages. I mean, how much can we actually customize in terms of the theme, the design, so that it actually looks, similar to our brand? So is there flexibility to be able to do that?
Yeah. So here's a typical landing page. The first thing is it's fully customizable. So logo, background, image colors. Every image and color that you see on this page is customizable. So you can make it be with whatever you want. There's even an ability to change the layout of these pages. However, I don't recommend that. All of our best results and conversion rates are from this standard landing page, video landing page layout, where it's video on top, buttons beneath it. There are a couple of other layouts available, but across testing, they did not perform as well as the standard layout. So while it is doable, right, you can change layouts and stuff, we are recommending the standard video page layout where it's video, then buttons beneath it. But everything, again, on this page is customizable. So images, colors, logos, text, button color, all that is 100% brandable. So it can be cohesive with your own pages.
And this could be on our like mass domain as well, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah, it'll say video or watch.yourbusiness.com or whatever other variation of that you'd like.
Okay, I just got two very quick questions here.
Love it.
So the other is a question I have is that, we use HubSpot CRM, and basically, I know you have an integration with that. So I understand that you can set up workflows within Dubb as well. And we're trying to see how is that data shared? I know the context can be shared, but do the workflows and the triggers and the behaviors, can that be shared as well between the two different CRMs or no?
That's a great question. Yes, and in some way there will be limitations. For people that already have a CRM that's capable of automation, if it's something you're already paying.
Oh,
there you go. I'm a huge proponent of, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So if you already have an existing tool that is capable of doing automation, I would say let's use that tool and add video to those components. That's normally what I'm recommending. So that way you're not paying for something twice, you're not reusing something you're already doing. However, there is a lot of opportunity to connect these two things. Like HubSpot will not offer automation based on video behavior.
Yeah.
If they watch 50% of a video, then we want some other action to happen. So those things can work in conjunction with HubSpot. Like if they watch 50% of the video, then add a tag to them, and then that's going to cause whatever we want to happen inside of HubSpot. So it is very possible for those two forms of automation to interact and connect. Also with tools like Zapier, the integrations are limitless as well. So again, the video percentage, like if 50% gets watched, we can trigger that. So the possibility is really, really endless. But I would say for the most part, if you have a system, I remember I made the recommendation earlier, keep it simple, which would be one system, one automation, one workflow, and make it sharper with video. And then the way the reporting is going to work for anybody that has another CRM that has automation, the reporting is going to still work. So it'll send email 2, 3, 4, and Dubb is going to track all those results. And it's going to pass that information back over to your CRM. So if it's Salesforce or HubSpot or whatever, Chime, Wise Agent, it'll be in the contact record and it'll say, John Smith watched 100% of your video inside of your CRM. So
perfect. Yeah. So basically what I was trying to determine is there a specific advantage of using, the current CRM that is on Dubb, because you can actually natively track certain analytics.
Yep.
And it looks like it's the video length that they can actually view. In addition to that, is there any other advantage?
Well, the CTA clicks, I believe, would be another advantage because the CTA buttons are going to be unique to the video. And so that's a tracking component that would not be available within HubSpot as well. HubSpot would be based on the email link click, like whatever the Dubb video in the body of the email, whereas the Dubb automation is more specific to the video and the activity related to it. So button clicks, video views, and activities that happen within inside of Dubb's email stuff, like if they opened a Dubb email or if they clicked on a Dubb button, watched the Dubb video. So that's sort of the main difference, is it's very video engagement specific versus just sort of email specific.
Perfect. Very quick question. I know that you mentioned earlier about a previous training that happened with the triggers from Facebook. Is it possible to access that training at all? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a perfect one. Let's make sure we follow up with him here. We have a nice little succinct one we even did. Ruben, what was it, 10 or 15 minutes? Right. We'll get that one over to you, and it shows specifically how to go generating that Facebook ad and then having it sync up into an automatic workflow. We can get that over to you.
Thank you very much.
Nice. Killer questions. Love it. I love when people are engaged. It makes me know that they're listening and that we provided something valuable to them. So appreciate you, buddy. Bruce was using HubSpot and High Level and in the process of leaving both. So we love when we can do this, guys. I will never tell you, go cancel your thing and come over to us just because I don't want to be responsible when you say, hey, my thing was working and you made me kill it. But I have had countless people jump from things like Active Campaign, where they're, paying $1,000 a month for email, and come over to Dubb and actually have much more success. So if anyone ever wants to replace, if you're like, look, I'm overpaying for Infusionsoft or Keep or whatever, if you're overpaying and not using other systems, we're happy to have you transferred over and help you build out these other things inside of Dubb. But again, I will never say, hey, go cancel your thing and sign up with us. It's only if things aren't working. We're always happy to fill the gap, plug the hole, provide customer service. That's what we're here for, guys.
One
John?
quick question. On high level, I have buy leads and they dump them into our high level. Is there any way that I could get the leads dumped into Dubb?
Where are they coming from currently?
It's our Lead Simplified that has them. They just let me use the high level. I pay them for the high level, and then they dump them into my high level.
I see. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of ways to do that. One would be like a Zapier or a PySync, whatever, one of the automation tools. That's usually the easiest no-code version. But we're also happy to talk with your lead company there and talk about an automatic API like within our system. Because right now it'll come over from other systems like HubSpot and High Level and things like that. So like, for example, if we still had High Level in the mix, they could go from your lead tool to High Level to Dubb automatically. But right now, from your lead tool to Dubb directly, we would either have to talk to them to build that or use something like Zapier to turn it on today. But either way is possible.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you want to CC me on an email with a contact over there, I can begin that process immediately. I'm always happy to build out more integrations, guys. This is how we built the platform, is we listen to you guys, we understand what we're trying to do, and we go and iterate those things. So if you want to CC me on an email with whoever you got over there, I'll start that conversation and look at the APIs available. Shoot, I was going to say, I got 2 more minutes here, guys. I got another appointment coming up. So 1 or 2 more questions there. John, that is what I'd like to know, is how we integrate Dubb with another CRM. So Active Campaign and Keep, we have really powerful integrations for. All you have to do is come over to Dubb. So John Walters, this is for you, my friend. Just come right over here, green button, and type in the word Active. And there it is. How to, I guess we should integrate with Active Campaign. So there it is. There's the nice video that's going to show you everything about how to integrate with Active Campaign. Infusionsoft is going to be identical to the steps, except for it's Keep instead of Active Campaign. So the way that we integrate with any other CRM is going to be almost identical. We connect the APIs and then we add the videos to those steps. So Alvaro, yeah, we'll get the training over to you, my friend. Does it sync with Navigator? Not yet, Brandon. So for Navigator, we would need Zapier at this point. So contact gets generated in Navigator, gets synced over to Dubb automatically.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Last call here, guys. Any last question we can do for you?
One of the things that I'd love to know is that if you're interested in building a case study with us for successes that you've had using the Dubb platform, we'd love to hear from you. So just put case study in the comments and we would meet with you and understand what successes you've had, and also just listen and figure out how we can make them even better. So throw the word case study in there if you'd like to meet with us to talk about your success.
Right on. We appreciate you guys so much. Thanks again. And
thanks, guys.
To working with you, those who have wanted to take the jump to Pro Plus. Looking forward to connecting with you guys. See you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.